Welcome, my friends, to my channel. I'm Morpheus, and tonight we're going on a journey into the heart of darkness, into the moments in horror that chilled us to our core, that made us question our sanity, that left us sleeping with the lights on. We're talking about the scenes that transcended mere jump scares, that burrowed under our skin and stayed there, whispering nightmares in the quiet corners of our minds. These are the moments that redefined horror, that gave us a new language for fear. So buckle up, lock your doors, and get ready to confront the shadows, because tonight we're diving deep into the top 5 horror moments in history. Let's start with a classic, a scene so iconic, so masterfully crafted that it's become synonymous with horror itself. I'm talking, of course, about the shower scene in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Picture this: Marion Crane, played with a delicate vulnerability by Janet Leigh, steps into the shower. The water cascades over her, washing away the grime of a long journey, a moment of peace, of solitude. But we, the audience, we know better. We feel the tension coiling, tightening like a spring about to snap. And then it happens. The shower curtain rips back, and Norman Bates, that unsettling smile hidden behind Anthony Perkins' piercing gaze, enters the scene. The knife flashes, a brutal ballet of light and shadow, and the water, once a symbol of cleansing, runs red with blood. Hitchcock's genius is in the editing, the rapid-fire cuts that disorient and unsettle, forcing us to piece together the horror with our own imaginations. The score, Bernard Herrmann's masterpiece of shrieking violins, claws at our nerves, amplifying the terror. But the true horror, the truly unforgettable element, lies in the vulnerability of it all. That shower, a symbol of privacy and safety, becomes a prison, a stage for our worst fears to play out. After Psycho, we were never the same in the shower again. Now let's talk about possession, about the moment when the human soul becomes a battleground for something ancient and evil. The Exorcist, a film that dared to show us the face of true terror, offers up one of the most disturbing and effective possession scenes ever put to film. We meet Regan, a young girl played with heartbreaking innocence by Linda Blair, as a sweet, playful child. But something insidious takes root in her, twisting her features, contorting her body, transforming her into a vessel of something monstrous. The scene itself is a masterclass in practical effects and psychological horror. Regan's voice, warped and guttural, spews forth obscenities that would make a sailor blush. Her body contorts in ways that defy the limits of human physiology. We see the whites of her eyes, the malevolence that seems to pour from them, and we are left shaken to our core. The sound design, a cacophony of growls, hisses, and inhuman screams, wraps around us, dragging us down into the depths of Regan's torment. The air itself feels thick with evil, with the stench of something rotten and unholy. But it's Blair's performance, the way she embodies the purest form of innocence corrupted, that truly terrifies. We see ourselves in her, in the fragility of the human psyche, and we are left to confront the terrifying possibility that evil can take root anywhere. Chapter 3. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a slow burn, a descent into madness painted in eerie, unforgettable imagery. And perhaps no image is more iconic, more deeply unsettling than the elevator scene. We've followed Jack Torrance, played with a manic intensity by Jack Nicholson, as his sanity crumbles, as the isolation and the whispers of the Overlook Hotel worm their way into his mind. The tension builds layer upon layer until it feels as though the very walls are closing in. Then the elevator doors open, and a tidal wave of blood, thick and viscous, spills out into the hallway. Kubrick's use of slow motion, the deliberate, almost agonizing pace of the blood's release, heightens the horror. It's not a splatter, it's a deluge, an unstoppable torrent that threatens to consume everything in its path. The sound, or lack thereof, amplifies the terror. There's no scream, no orchestral sting, just the silence of the Overlook and the unsettling, almost serene way the blood flows forward. It's as if the hotel itself is bleeding, its malevolent heart finally spilling out for all to see. That image, the blood against the sterile white walls of the Overlook, has become seared into our collective consciousness. It's a reminder that some things cannot be unseen, that true horror can be as beautiful as it is terrifying. Chapter 4. There's a primal fear associated with wells, with the dark, watery depths that conceal what lies beneath. The Ring, both the original Japanese masterpiece and the American remake, tap into that fear, crafting a scene so simple, so effectively creepy that it stays with you long after the credits roll. The premise is simple: a cursed videotape, a series of disturbing images, and a phone call that whispers 7 days. Our protagonist, driven by a desperate need to break the curse, uncovers the truth behind the tape. A truth that leads her to a solitary well. It's what emerges from that well that chills us to our core. A figure, pale and gaunt, with long, stringy hair that obscures its face, crawls out of the darkness and towards the screen. It moves with an unsettling grace, a spider weaving its web, and its eyes, those black, bottomless pits, seem to pierce through the screen, staring directly into our souls. The scene is a masterclass in atmosphere. The lighting is dim, casting long, eerie shadows. The sound design is a symphony of dripping water, creaking wood, and the soft, guttural moans of the creature itself. It's a slow, agonizing build-up, our anticipation turning to dread with each passing second. And when the figure finally emerges, it's not the jump scare that gets us, it's the implication, the knowledge that something ancient, something evil, has been unleashed. We are left with the chilling realization that some things are better left buried, that the darkness holds secrets best left undisturbed. Chapter 5. Get Out isn't just a horror film, it's a social commentary disguised as a nightmare. It's about the masks we wear, the subtle ways in which our society can be a breeding ground for something far more sinister than anything lurking in the shadows. And nowhere is this more apparent than in the hypnosis scene. Chris Washington, played with a captivating vulnerability by Daniel Kaluuya, finds himself drawn into the world of his white girlfriend's family. What begins as awkward encounters escalates into something far more sinister, a realization that something is deeply, terribly wrong. The hypnosis scene is where the film takes its most unsettling turn. Chris, lured into a false sense of security, sits across from his girlfriend's mother. As she stirs her tea, her words become a hypnotic lullaby, a weapon that strips away Chris's defenses, leaving him vulnerable and exposed. We watch as Chris's eyes glaze over, his body becoming a prisoner in his own mind. The camera closes in on his face, capturing every flicker of fear, every desperate attempt to break free. The sound design, a mix of muffled voices and the rhythmic clinking of the teaspoon, becomes a suffocating presence, a physical manifestation of Chris's entrapment. But it's the subtext, the unspoken horror of a black man losing control, becoming a pawn in a game he doesn't even realize he's playing, that elevates this scene beyond mere horror. We see the fear in Chris's eyes mirrored in our own, and we are left to confront the terrifying reality that sometimes the monsters are all too human. And there you have it. 5 moments in horror that have chilled us, thrilled us, and stayed with us long after the credits rolled. These scenes, masterfully crafted and deeply unsettling, remind us of the power of cinema, of its ability to tap into our deepest fears and leave us forever changed. From the visceral terror of Psycho's shower scene to the creeping dread of The Ring's well, these moments have earned their place in the Horror Hall of Fame. They are reminders that true horror lingers, that it burrows under our skin and takes root in the darkest corners of our minds. So, the next time you dim the lights and press play on a horror film, remember these scenes. Remember the power of suggestion, the mastery of atmosphere, the sheer, unadulterated terror of a well-crafted scare. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself sleeping with the lights on, If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of horror, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more spine-chilling content. Until next time, my friends, keep the lights on and remember, the darkness is always listening.